Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and today I'm doing a discussion over 20 Strong Tanglewoods White. This is one of the 3 boxes that was recently released in the 20 Strong series, all centered around the Tanglewoods fairy tale kind of theme. This one has you following essentially Snow White and trying to defeat the Evil Stepmother. And I'm doing a discussion on all 3 of them. Not sure in what order they will be released, but yeah, so go check out my discussion on Gold and Red whenever those come out. But what do I think of Tanglewoods White? Well, like all the other Tanglewoods systems, they kind of share similar DNAs in the sense that you go into a forest and you're aiming, of course, to defeat a boss, and then you have kind of a day-night system that all 3 of them share, but yeah, my dog is dealing with this new bone that I got her, and I tried to get her to stop chewing on it, and she's like, give it to me. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, so this one is actually a little bit interesting because unlike the other 2, this one kind of has this not tableau, but this grid effect that represents the forest, and you kind of have a positioning element where you are moving your health die that represents where you're at and going and dealing with a card. And this kind of will result in your encounters. Overall, I think this one kind of had a pretty good sense of strategy, because all of the cards have an icon on the back, and these icons might be triggered depending on which card that you flip over. So some of them, like the hand, means if you trigger that icon, you activate the card. Some might make you pay gold, and like I said in the Tanglewoods Gold or whichever review you watched, each one of the Tanglewoods systems implements a merchant and a gold system. A lot of enemies will give you gold that you will use to either bribe enemies, basically meaning you're not going to deal with them, or you use the gold to pay at the merchant to trigger an effect or buy items. But yeah, so the robbery might make you pay a gold. The winded icon might have you exhaust your strongest die. The tower has you add it to a castle stack, which I'll get to in a sec. And then the apple makes you swap your stats around. So whenever you're playing, where you go, you might take these icons into effect because you don't know if the card that you flip over is going to make you trigger an effect. Like this one I just happened to flip, if I moved over to it, is this devilish moonbeam, and it is an enemy, but it has the new icon that makes you basically trigger one icon that's adjacent to it. So this one, and I hate the way they did this because it says +1 and it looks like a tree. That's the new icon that means trigger a modifier on the back of an adjacent card. But it says +1, which makes you think, oh, like, do I do 1? And then if you have another 1 on it, it's just weird. The 1 just makes it seem like it doesn't need to be there. And maybe in playtesting they thought, like, if you saw the icon, people thought you triggered all of them, so maybe the 1 is supposed to represent you just do 1. But yeah, so this would be something that I would trigger. I would either have to activate the robbery or activate the hand in this case, and then the hand would be activate this card, and then it's like, okay, cool, now I have a Umon, and this is it adds another enemy. So this would be something, and then, the enemy would come from a scouted line or from the top of the deck. Oh, there's another Umon, and oh, now I have to trigger another effect, which has to be a robbery. So it can snowball pretty high while you're dealing, with these cards. And then basically what you're doing is like with 20 Strong, you're defeating enemies, you're getting gold, all in the purposes to make yourself stronger to defeat the evil stepmother. And what's interesting about this grid system is, yeah, each round you will refill empty spots, but then if you ever end your turn in the top right of the grid, then you would have to go and actually fight the bosses. So I like the fact that it's up to you on where you're going. You can just keep wandering around the woods until you feel like you're strong enough and then be like, all right, I feel like I'm ready to go fight the boss. Now, like I said with the other Tanglewoods games, this it shares a DNA. So I'm going to talk about the day-night system, and I'm going to talk about the merchant system. Like I mentioned in probably the other ones, I know I mentioned it in my gold one, I like the merchant effects, like because if you have max gold, you can spend it to recover dice, recover banished dice, flip the day-night card because there's a day-night. So unlike gold where it has like cards that flip to its day-night system, or in red where the path that you're running on is day or night, this one is just a singular card, and the night basically will affect other cards. Like this Corrigan has a night effect that only goes off if it's night. You can change that. You can discard a card that's in your strategy area or in the forest. You can heal. Like, I just really like that there's a potion that lets you just heal too. Or you can buy an item. Now, in this one and in gold, you're always given 3 items. Red's the only one that does something a little bit different. And this one has a little bit more. I feel like this one has more items. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. There's 20. Let me actually double check. Maybe it's also 20 in gold, because I felt like gold had very little items. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. It does have less. Okay. So there's only 15 items in gold and 20 in white. I don't know how many are in red, but I felt like gold had less items. And like I said in the other ones, I find these items kind of just okay. I much prefer the other systems where the enemies you defeated gave you abilities, because that gave you kind of like a really cool randomized roguelike feel. And you might think, oh, well, it does the same thing by buying items. Well, maybe, but maybe I just feel like these items are just okay, or there's some that are just better than others, that whenever you draw 3 of them, you're going to look at and be like, I don't need these. So I don't necessarily like the item system in any of these. But I love the merchant ability. Like, there are a lot of times where you'll draw 3 items, look at it and be like, never mind. Or the fact that you are already maxed out on your items, because some enemies might just give you a free item that you're like, oh, I can't even hold these, so whatever. But I do really like the agency of being able to pay gold to get dice back. Or, in this case, there's something called Scout that lets you flip forest cards over to see what they are, or even what the bosses are going to be. Now, the day-night system in this game is actually kind of interesting. Like in gold, you needed a specific map card that told you can go visit the merchant. Here it's kind of similar. Enemies will tell you at the end of the encounter. I'm trying to see if I can just find one real quick. Yes, so Devilish Moonbeam, if it's nighttime, at the end of this round, visit the merchant and flip the day-night card. So a card has to specifically tell you can go visit the merchant and whether the day-night card gets flipped. I actually don't mind the day-night system in this one. It's very, very simple. I like how it doesn't really affect anything. So if it's daytime, you just ignore the night effects, and if it's nighttime, they're there. And it flips actually pretty frequently, so I kind of like the simplicity of this one. After having played all of them, this one is just pretty clean. Now, where white gets a little bit where it's a little much is that when you defeat a minion, the first minion that you defeat, you take its card and you add it to one of the 4 castle stacks, which are basically the bosses. This is a couple things. One, whenever you go to fight the bosses, it's kind of a boss rush at the end. When you end your turn in the top right, you flip all the bosses over and you fight them in any order of your choice besides the Evil Stepmother. And these are bosses that will have an ability on them, but all of them kind of deal with what the castle stack is. So what you do is if you have, let's say you have these 4 cards on a castle. Well, before you even deal with him, you trigger all the icons that you have placed on there one at a time. And some of them, like funny enough, the one I happen to randomly set up, the Poison Goldsmith, is when resolving cards from the Poison Goldsmith castle stack with the tower modifier, you may ignore its effects and add 3 gold instead. And if it's nighttime, you can actually visit the merchant after this encounter. Now, if you don't happen to see who this is, you can entirely have a random castle stack that triggers none of those effects. And it's like, okay, cool, so I have to deal with Winded, I have to deal with a summon and 2 robberies, and I don't even get anything for it, so now I have to fight this guy. I don't necessarily like that, again, because this game, like I mentioned in all the other Tanglewoods reviews, this game is way too long. It is, in all my playthroughs, has been about an hour and a half, and for 20 strong, that is way too long. So, when you get to the final boss and you flip it because you either never had gold or didn't get to visit the merchant in time or didn't scout or needed dice or whatever it might be, if you didn't know that that's who the boss was, then you're just like, cool, okay, I didn't know that he needed tower icons, so I guess I'm just going to deal with all 4 of these icons. And then, that would be... okay, that would be manageable if that was it. But the extra rule they added for this stupid castle stack was that the number of cards in that stack equals how many dice you can commit. And I really don't like that system because it just feels like way too punishing. It feels like, okay, I have to put dice down. And they don't have that much health. Like, it's 4 and 3, so it's like they're easy to kill, but it's like you're weakened, of course, in the boss rush before you get to the final boss. So, not only is it random on the boss, it's random on... I mean, yeah, you willingly put that icon on a stack, but it might help the boss. It might... I mean, it could very easily help you in that case. It's like, oh man, I happen to put only towers on him. Great, I have a bunch of money, and it's nighttime, and I get to visit the merchant. How cool. But chances are that's not going to happen unless you pay to flip them. But then having that extra element of like, oh, I only put 2 dice on, or 2 cards on him, so I only can commit 2 dice. I think that was a step too far, because basically it means for you to be able to commit more dice, you're going to have to suffer more punishment based off, oh, I had to put 6 cards there so I can commit 6 dice for this fight, and they were all robbery, or whatever it might be. It really, I just didn't like that extra element. And then the fight against the Evil Stepmother is fine. In my playthrough against her, I ended up getting an item that was actually kind of good. It was called the magic. Oh, it was called actual magic, because these items can be upgraded too. Is you discard the top card of a castle stack and replace it with this card. When this card is activated from a castle stack, ignore the modifiers of the next 3 cards activated. And I had like 5 on her, so I got to basically ignore 3 icons that would have helped her, which is actually pretty good. And then you just fight her and you beat her. So, yeah, this one has a lot of elements that I do like. It's really the 2 biggest issues I have with Tanglewoods White. It's way too long, and the dice commit limit for each boss, I just don't think that needed to be there. But it is what it is. So, but other than that, yeah, I like the grid movement. I like the positioning, depending on the icons, the kind of risk-reward of, like, dealing with it. Now, this game also, like the other 2, has fables in them. Not that many, but they are fables. And what's interesting is some of them have to deal with, like, encounters, or like, hey, after this conflict, do this. But sometimes it's just that card. You don't really end up getting like a whole lot of like in Tanglewoods Gold, you almost have always a line of enemies to defeat. Here, you don't really get that many enemies to fight all at once. It can happen. Like, you can have to summon a card, and then that has an extra enemy icon, so you have to draw another one. But what I don't have set up here is, based off your strategy, is how many cards you get to see. So whenever you have to add enemies, you can pull from ones you can look at. So this game, or this version, kind of has... I feel like it's like right in the middle of what Red and Gold did, which is kind of interesting. I will say one thing about all the Tanglewoods games is, even though they share similar ideas of a day-night, of going through a forest, of the merchant and items, they did manage to make them all feel pretty different, even though they're literally using the same exact 20-strong system. So that's pretty impressive. On a scale of 1 to 10, I think I'm gonna give this one... I think I'm going to give it a... Oh, God. I want to give it a 7, but it is stupidly long. But it is a solo game, so if you lose, you can just say you didn't, and then keep playing. I'll leave it at a 7. Like, I was kind of hovering at a 6 because I don't like the idea of it being an hour and a half long. But... I like more things about this than I don't like. So I'll say this one is good. 10 out of 6 because of its length, but overall I kind of like everything else. And that's it. That's my thoughts on Tanglewoods White. So let me know what you think of it in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.